welcome to Let's Play Gran Turismo 3, episode 50. Alright, so we officially have one more International B license event to do in the Amateur League, and then after that we will have completed pretty much all but one event in the Amateur League, and that of course would be the Dream Car Championship. But obviously, since that event is an International A license event, it's probably going to be a while before I do that. So instead, I'm just going to focus on continuing from the All Japan GT Championship, and officially it's now time for the World Championship. And this is the car I'm using, the Toyota Denso Sard Supra GT, which is also the most recent car I own. And I'm also going to put on racing hard tyres, and of course I'm also going to get the super slicks just in case, and I think as far as I know that's probably all I need to do, because I think I'll be comfortable enough with winning this thing. So 10 grand if we can win each of these races, and I think it's a maximum of, I think, 150,000 credits if we can win the championship overall. So, 10 race event, as always, and tracks we are going to are Tokyo, Laguna Seca, Apricot Hill, Deep Forest, Route 5, Trial Mountain, Seattle, Midfield Reverse, Route 11, and Grand Valley Speedway for the finale. And officially, let's get started. And where I'm hoping I officially have all the equipment I need to win this thing. And this is our competition. So in this championship we are going up against a Chevrolet Corvette C5R, a Dodge Viper GTSR, Team Orica, a Lister Storm V12, a Nissan Pennzoil Nismo GTR, along with a Honda Castro Mugen NSX for our competition. And don't mind what you just heard there. And all I need to do now is just take off the assists because I don't need them. And also, just to be certain, yep, we do have the racing slick tyres on, and so, yeah, let's get on with this. For the start of 10 races in the Amateur Gran Turismo World Championship. And as of which, I should also probably mention that officially we are doing all of these races in one segment, since this is our 50th segment, and I know very well that obviously I still prefer to be different compared to many other people. And already I am down the inside and up into the third position in the matter of just one right-hander, and already trying to slot myself down the inside, getting a little bit loose there after contact with the Viper, and as a result the Corvette now moves up into the second position. And trying to see if I can assert myself, and indeed I do, and I now take the lead here in Tokyo, in the matter of basically 190 degree right-hander, which is then quickly followed by a left-hander and then a hand, basically. Or at least I think it's a hand. And already, at the moment, I am officially leading this thing now, and all I can really do at the moment is try to see if I can hold on to the lead. As we now head through the hairpin turn now for the first time, and officially back on to the start-finish straight, and where I am hopeful in saying that I can manage to win 8, possibly 9 out of 10 races at the most. Because I usually tend to underestimate myself. Guess we'll just have to wait and see how exactly our progress is. And if our progress is good, then maybe expectations will be higher, but if they are not, then well, I'll just leave them where they are. Also, furthermore, the Corvette at the moment is currently in second position, after I collided with the Viper, but obviously I'm pretty certain he will not stay there because I have no doubt in saying he has to stop in for tyres probably every race, and obviously, even though the strategy will be beneficial at certain venues, it will not necessarily be beneficial at all venues, I would think. Because even though Tokyo probably is one of those beneficial venues, simply because of how many high-speed straights there are around this circuit, I would imagine this is where the Corvette will benefit. But officially, I'm pretty certain that overall I will manage to possibly win 9 out of 10 races. 8 of those with relative ease if I can do everything I'm supposed to do, and hopefully I will manage to do that. Considering at the moment I am basically on a tearaway streak. And that is exactly how I would have taken that corner. But officially, at the moment I'm just gradually extending my interval. And so, at the end, by the middle of lap 3, to my correction, I am still continuing to extend my interval. As we now officially head through this complex sequence of corners now, I am still very much continuing to extend my interval, and his AI, I would imagine by now, have probably been evenly split, as of which we are now coming towards the end of lap 3 and officially heading through the hairpin turn now for the third time, narrowly avoiding the concrete wall, and I can also see a fence for the spectators, and officially we are now coming through to starting the penultimate lap. And as I anticipated, the Corvette is in the pits. And that officially allows the Viper to take away second position. As we are now onto the fourth lap here. Pretty sure the Viper probably will narrow that interval down, since obviously he is on fresher rubber. And officially, since I am on the racing slick tyres, I would say I pretty much have the benefits of easily going the rest of the distance, which is obviously the one thing this AI cannot do, and already in this thing I have now driven 18 kilometers. And I have no idea what that is in miles, because obviously this is the fucking PAL version. Coming through now over to the start-finish line and starting the 5th and final lap here at Tokyo, and where braked a little bit early there for the corner, but obviously figured I had to do that, and hopefully I can make this lap a flyer. Ooh, narrowly avoiding the concrete barrier there on the inside. right before heading straight for the Armcos, but officially it looks like I might be able to make this one a hot lap run. And a little bit wide there through the corner, but I don't think that will affect my momentum too much, because obviously I'm not being hunted down or anything, and already I would say I probably am comfortable enough to make it up to the end of the race. The Viper has definitely narrowed the interval, but all I'm really trying to do right now is see if I can improve on my best lap time. As of which, through adversity and perseverance, it probably does look like I am officially going to make this my first win of probably many. And I narrowly miss out on improving on my best lap time, but in the end of that I win by a total of 5.5 seconds over the Viper. Then the Corvette came back to finish in third after his pit stop at the end of the third lap. Then it was the GTR in fourth, followed by the Luster Storm in fifth, and then at the back it was the MSX. So these are the overall points after one race, and where I am doubtless in saying these will not stay the same, because something has got to change in the overall points. Anyways, first race is down and we still have 9 to go. We move on to race number 2, where we are going to Laguna Seca. So let's just get on with this, so that obviously I'm not wasting too much of your time by the time we're done with this championship. Ooh, I was way too wide there through the hairpin, but somehow I still managed to hold on to the third position, and officially it more or less looks like I'm probably going to see myself witnessing a reasonable fight, and a little bit of contact there with the Viper. But already I'm down the inside and up into the first position I go, as we now head for corkscrew for the first time, managing to avoid a snap of oversteer, and already I now have a 2-second interval to the Viper, which is certainly going to increase because the AI do not appear to have as much competence around Laguna Seca than they do other tracks. And even if it looks like I'm off the pace for a certain race, it wouldn't really matter too much, because obviously I'll basically just need to wait for the leaders to pit, and then once they do, obviously that is when I will strike. And then obviously once I do manage to strike, that's essentially when I basically take the lead. So a 4-second interval now to the Viper, who is still in second position ahead of the Corvette, keeping this thing in third gear so I do not spin the tyres or the rear end, and officially I still stand with the 4-second interval at the end of the second lap. And already I am continuing to balance out the results. I think that was still legal because I managed to keep this thing on track. Okay, that was not legal. And yes, I do admit I cut the track there. But obviously, since there aren't any stewards, it's pretty much no harm, no foul. Unless I actually cut the corner purposely, but I do not have any intentions of doing that, considering I already have an interval to these AI anyway, so the truth is I'm really not being challenged, and obviously probably is the smart choice for me to just keep this thing clean. Just do what I've been doing so far and hope that I can manage to win my races legally. Anyways, I am continually improving on my lap times, and also furthermore I'm continuing to extend my interval, as I am now pretty much 5 seconds clear of the Viper. Corvette is still running in third, but obviously because this is not a high speed track, I'm pretty certain he will have to pit, because pit stops are going to be the order for this championship with these AI. Unfortunately, since I knew tyre degradation was going to be an issue heading into this championship, obviously, I made the wise decision and purchased myself the slick tyres. So I can basically win most of these races the easy way, because I'm pretty confident in saying I'll probably win at least 7 out of 10 races, possibly 8, with the strategy I'm running. Even though it will surprise me if I do manage to get a clean sweep, because then officially that will mean that I've managed to achieve 2 clean sweeps in a row, and already the Corvette is in the pits, right before the final lap, as I expected him to do. But again, these other AI will probably pit sooner or later, because I am also anticipating that will happen too. Meanwhile, the rest of the order, as it stands, will probably go the distance. So from what I can understand with the Corvette, his tyres, or at least the tyres he is probably running, I'm assuming they must be probably the mediums. I'm assuming whatever tyres the Corvette C5R is running, I would imagine they must wear down very quickly, because obviously I'm assuming that must be the only reason on why exactly he keeps stopping in some race. But again, I have no doubt in saying that most of these AI probably will stop in before the end of the championship, because I'm pretty certain most of them will make at least one pit stop before this championship ends. Anyways, I win by 5.6 seconds over the Viper. Then it was the Pentail Skyline in third, followed by the Lister Storm in fourth, V12. The Castro Mugen NSX finishes fifth, and then at the back, by 20 seconds, it was the Corvette. So this will cause a shuffle in the points, although it's nothing to really be concerned about between myself and the Viper, because both of us already have a 12-point advantage, because I have an 8-point advantage to the Viper, and obviously since we finished first and second in the first 2 races, we have an early interval. Meanwhile, further back we have a tie for 4th, and the Viper is right on my ass, but obviously I'll just let him go by because race is already over and I won it with relative ease. And already I'm now 20 grand richer. And so, let us move on to race number 3, which takes place at Apricot Hill. And where I would imagine pit stops probably will take place in this race like they have done in the previous 2 races. And because of my tyre longevity, I am pretty certain I will manage to go the distance from what I can make out. So, already passed both of the JGTC cars. I have also made it past the Lister to fight my way up to the 3rd position, and still continuing to make contact with the Viper with my oversteer, and currently 1.3 seconds behind the Corvette, looking certain to closing that margin from what I can work out, and I am closing up to him through quite a rate of knots. A little bit of a short shift there so I don't spin the car. As we now head through this awkward little chicane here. Well, it isn't necessarily awkward, but you know. And officially, we now head through the final corner and onto the start-finish straight away. Also getting a tow from the Corvette as well. Diving down the inside, he was trying to go on the defense, but he was not going to stop the Supra from taking the position because I was already down the inside, and I also kept this car on track because I still had all 4 wheels on the asphalt, even though 2 of them were on the curb. But officially, that has now allowed me to take the lead, and ultimately this is where I will probably stand up to the end of the race, because I have the tyres, I also have the race car to prove that I can probably win these races with relative ease. Anyways, 2.4 seconds now to the Corvette. And officially, all I can really say at the moment is that, well, I'm just managing to stretch my legs up to this point, as the gap after the 2nd lap is officially 3.3 seconds since I took the lead. And since I know the Corvette is probably going to be stopping in this lap, I would imagine from previous experience, pretty much half the field is going to be stopping in for tyres by the time we get up to the end of the 4th lap, because these AI, I would imagine they're probably running on the medium tyres, whilst I of course am running on the slick tyres. But officially, I now have enough of an interval to both the Viper and the Corvette, and it looks like up to this point I probably will hold on to the lead with relative ease. considering I'm certain this is where the pit stops begin. And my prediction was correct because the Corvette is already in the pits, as I correctly predicted, and almost getting oversteer there, but managing to correct it regardless of having a little bit of a tailfish there, but managing to hold on to the rear end, and officially I'm now 5.3 seconds clear of the Viper, no doubt in saying he is probably going to be stopping in this lap. Because apparently there might be tyre degradation for the AI in this race is proving to be a bit of a problem. Managing to make the chicane this time, because I used both of the curbs to keep the car on the asphalt. I have not disobeyed the orders of the stewards, and officially I am pretty much out in front. Anyways, final lap, and as I anticipated, the Viper is in the pits, as is the Pennzoil GTR. And I think this is going to put the Lister Storm into the second position. Indeed it does, and officially this is where the Lister will start to narrow that 15-second margin. I'd rather a bulleting rate of knots, because the Lister is definitely looking quick on this final lap, but obviously because this is already the final lap, I have enough of an interval to win, even if I do make a minor mistake. I'm still pretty certain in saying that I'm probably going to win this as long as I don't bottle this. And as we now head through the final chicane once again, still have one more corner I need to survive, and then officially, after that, victory should be mine for the third time in a row. And so, I shall emerge victorious with a hat-trick. A hat-trick goes to the Denso Sard Supra. And, oh okay, the Corvette eventually took second. Had to wait until the final lap to get it, but the Corvette has taken second. So the Lister eventually winds up in third, then it is the Castro Mugen NSX in fourth, followed by the Viper GTSR, and then at the back it is the Pennzoil GTR. So in the updated point standings, that now puts me pretty much double the point score of the Viper, since he finished fifth, and I now have 3 wins in a row. So the Viper finishes second, then it is the Corvette C5R now moving back up to third. The Storm has now moved up to fourth, ahead of the Pennzoil GTR, and then at the back it is still the NSX. As of which there is a total of 24 points at the moment from first to sixth. And officially we can now move onwards to race number 4. Which takes place at Deep Forest. So here we go, it is now time for race number 4. And I'm anticipating another easy victory, judging by my previous experience. Oh shit, I did not mean to cut the hairpin, but I did it anyway because I was committed to the racing line. But officially, I'm now up into the third position and my TV is glitching again. And I think I got squeezed out there through the first tunnel by the Corvette, but fortunately I do manage to get myself back into the position I need to be in, and at the moment my TV is doing weird shit. Fortunately, however, I am now up into the second position, right behind the Dodge Viper and looking to take the lead as I literally just harpoon myself down the inside and pretty much up into the lead. Just basically shot in there like an arrow and accurately pulled off the overtake like a surgeon. As accurate as a surgeon, basically, that pass was. And I have a scrub. I have a itch on my nostril. And as I suspected, my TV is being annoying again. At the moment, the interval is now 2.2 seconds to the Viper. But again, pit stops will pretty much certainly become the order of the race here, and obviously, because I have tyre longevity on my side, I am pretty certain that obviously tyres will certainly not be a problem for the rest of these races, considering obviously it's notably been the extended amount of times on these tyres that have managed to put me into victory lane already 3 times in a row, and as of which I am now pretty much just over 4 seconds clear of the Viper now, as I do manage to hit the concrete wall this time, because I'm pretty certain that wall is made from concrete. And officially, I can now say I pretty much have enough of a margin to eventually win this race, like I have done with all the other races at the moment. So we shall continue. So 5 seconds clear of the Viper now at the end of lap 3, as which obviously these AI are not willing to give too many inches to me in these races, as I now set a lap under the 1:11, and officially the Viper is slowly closing in again, but since I know he's going to pit in the next lap in comparison to the Corvette, I would imagine that is exactly what will probably take place. And whilst I am sliding left and right, my TV was glitching again. Hopefully it was not fucking up my video quality, because if it has, then I will probably be pissed. So here we are, coming up officially to the end of the 4th lap. The Viper is managing to stabilise those margins. I did not mean to cut the final corner, guess I just turned in too soon. But anyways, final lap, and as I anticipated, the Viper pits in the very next lap. And I think this is going to put the Pennzoil Skyline up into second, and indeed it does. So officially, that has pretty much guaranteed me the win, because I would say I probably am enough of a veteran to know my way around Deep Forest, and probably, like with all the others, I'll be able to win this race with relative ease. At least that is ultimately before my TV gives me either a headache or a migraine. considering I am, of course, doing pretty much all of the races in one. And officially, he is closing down that interval, but I'm pretty certain he will probably not catch up to me in the end, and there we go. It is 4 out of 4 wins to the Supra. Then it is the Skyline that finishes in second, ahead of the Luster Storm. Then it's the Chevrolet Corvette in fourth, followed by the NSX, and then at the back, because he pitted in on the fourth lap, it is the Viper. So, as I anticipated, tyres are very much the order of this championship, and obviously, because of my tyre longevity, that is the only reason why I have already won 4 out of 4 races so far. So the Supra very much on a hot streak to making it 5 out of 5 by the time we make it to the halfway point, and already the battle for second is very close, because there is only 2 points from second to fifth. And as for the NSX, well, I would imagine he is probably going to stay in 6th position, unfortunately. But by the time we get up to the halfway point, one thing I can confirm is that officially it will pretty much be anyone's race, is what me thinks, even though that could be a misconception. Anyways, race 5, and we are heading to Route 5. Coincidentally speaking. Where I'm pretty sure I can probably make this 5 out of 5 up to this point. Even though my starts are terrible because I keep getting wheel spin. Although that's not unusual, considering obviously this thing is a rear-wheel drive car, as are pretty much all of the other race cars in this championship. And already I slot down the inside of the Pennzoil GTR, and I now manage to take the 3rd position. And officially I'm now 1.2 seconds clear. Sorry, 1.2 seconds behind the Viper at the moment. But again, because I know pit stops are going to be the order of this championship, I am pretty certain it will be very close to see who exactly clinches the 2nd position, and as a result of these ever-changing race results, obviously, this is basically helping me to extend my lead even further, considering I have already won 4 out of 4 races up to this point. And I am in the slipstream of the Corvette. I am in the draft and almost reaching 280k, which is basically about, I think, 172 miles an hour, possibly. I think that's how many 280 is, but I do not know because this is not the preferable NTSC version. But again, this is the only version of the game I have, so obviously it's probably best if I just stick to this version. Because, well, the PAL version has its benefits too over the Americans. So, you know, we do get our advantages over the NTSC version to essentially supporting Jimmy Broadbent, considering he too has the PAL version of this game. Meanwhile, I now take the lead. And I think somebody hit the wall there, going through the chicane. I'm not sure who that was, but I think somebody hit the wall, going through the chicane. And also furthermore, there is quite a competition going on for who exactly is going to take the 5th position between the Lister and the NSX. So that is quite an interesting tussle going on there all the way at the back, even though obviously it's not up front. Meanwhile, I am in the lead once again and looking almost certainly like extending my lead even further, because I would imagine that is exactly what is probably going to happen. Forgetting to shift up into 4th gear before exiting the corner, and I once again have the lead by 3 seconds over the Viper, because my domination in this championship, by default of tyre longevity, is very much becoming what the order of the day really is. Anyways, heading onwards to the penultimate lap now here at Route 5, as I'm now leading by 3.7 seconds over the Viper. The Corvette pits, and this is where I would imagine the Viper is going to pit, because obviously his tyres, I would imagine, are not going to last much longer by the time we get to the end of this lap. And officially, I'm now pretty much 5 seconds clear. So the Denso Sard Supra has held on to the lead by pretty much 5 seconds over the Viper, even though I'm pretty certain that interval will extend, because the Viper is probably going to be more than likely to come into the pits at the end of this lap, because he too is on grippy but short-lasting tyres. Anyways, final lap, as I now essentially improve on my best lap time by 0.8 of a second. So essentially being much faster on that previous lap, and now it pretty much looks like I'm probably going to hold on to this lead with relative ease, as it is now the NSX that takes the second position in this race away from the Lister, and the Corvette is also catching up to both of these guys up front, so I am pretty certain the Corvette will probably be a contender for the second position, and as these positions keep changing, it is only just helping me to extend my championship lead even further. So heading through the final corner now, here at Route 5, and where I am looking more than likely to officially extending my lead even further, as we now come across the line and also set a new personal best lap time as a result, to officially capitalise on my advantage. And the Corvette is still fighting with the NSX for the position. The Corvette takes second position, and the NSX finishes third, ahead of the Lister Storm, who does manage to beat out the Dodge Viper, and then at the back once again it is the Nissan. So these are the updated point standings now after 5 races, as of which the tussle for second position at the moment is still ongoing, even though I don't think the NSX is currently a contender. So the Corvette does manage to take second position now away from the Viper, then it is the Lister Storm in fourth, followed by the Pennzoil GTR in fifth, and then at the back it is still the NSX. As I pretty much have more than double the score of the Corvette up to this point in the championship. And as of which, I'm now going to save this replay, because I'm pretty certain I don't have a replay saved at Route 5 normal yet. At least I don't think I do. Let's have a look. I know this is irrelevant, but well, never mind. Well, it doesn't matter too much. But officially, that's where I'm going to save my replay. But, fuck it. Let's move on to race number 6, which takes place at Trial Mountain. As I'm trying not to waste too much of your fucking time in this video recording. Already just literally bulleting myself down the inside of the Viper, or in other words, pulling off the slingshot there through that corner as we went through the tunnel. I just literally slingshotted myself into 3rd position, and as a result I am already up to the 3rd position. Looking more than likely to closing in on both the Viper and the Corvette. As of which, there is quite a titanic battle going on for 2nd position at the moment. Corvette currently has the advantage over the Viper, but of course, it would be difficult to know for sure if the interval will stand, even though obviously I'm pretty certain it won't. Meanwhile, I am just behind both of these guys, and already I am up to 3rd position, as I'm just keeping my foot in through those corners. Getting a little bit of oversteer there. The Corvette does make contact with me, continuing to make contact with me, I should say, and he does pay the price for it because he was on the outside and I already passed him. So at the moment I'm now just a second behind the Viper and looking like a possible threat for the lead, as we now head through this hairpin turn, and I am very much closing in. Officially, we are now onto the 3rd lap here at Trial Mountain. Still very much keeping my foot in on the throttle and sliding down the inside of the Viper since I left the door open, and officially that has allowed me to take the advantage. Especially considering, up to this point, I have already won 5 out of 5 races so far. And from what I can tell, this one is certainly the closest so far, because the Viper is not willing to give me an inch here at Trial Mountain at the moment. The Viper is definitely staying hungry for the lead at the moment. He's licking his lips for victory here, but again, It will ultimately be the pit stop that will derail his progress, because irreversibly I would imagine he'll drop to the back of the field once, and I could chicane. Anyways, like I was saying, the Viper, in terms of his progress, it will certainly be irreversibly derailed by the time he pits, because obviously, like I've been saying before, pit stops have certainly been the order of this championship, and I'm pretty certain the Viper will not hold on to the position, whereas the Corvette will easily strike back as a result of him doing the undercuts, and where I'm pretty certain this will be another perfect time for me to extend my interval over the Viper as it currently stands. And getting a little bit of a fishtail there through the hairpin, but still holding on to the interval, even though I'm pretty certain this interval will almost certainly not last too much longer, because it will probably extend as the Viper now hits. And whoever is in the second position now will probably finish in third, because the Corvette will fight back. And it's currently the Mugen NSX who is officially in the second position now at the moment, whilst the Corvette, I would imagine by now, has probably passed the Lister, and we're officially, I can now say, I am pretty much way the fuck ahead of everyone else, and onwards to emerging victorious for the 6th time in a row now. Because the only thing that is on the subject of this race car is winning, and that's exactly all I've really been doing up to this point. Since we are now 5 races down and officially this appears to be more or less like it's probably going to be a first win. Anyways, I win. And now I can wait for the rest of the field. And also the Viper manages to pass the Lister as well. So the NSX takes second position ahead of the Corvette, the Viper finishes 4th, then it is the Storm in 5th, and then at the back it is once again the GTR for the second race running. Just having a sip of water, also know I'm already past the halfway point, and officially, all I can really say so far is, well, we have quite a tussle going on, but I think the Corvette, up to this point, probably will secure second position in the championship over the Viper, considering I am definitely more than half the score, sorry, definitely more than double the score of the Corvette. And I don't just know that mathematically, I know that aggregately. Anyways, race 7. Where we are going to Seattle. So let's just get this shit over with. Don't really see any point in shifting up into second gear, because I'm still going to get wheel spin anyway, so that's why I've just been launching first gear, and I've had a terrible start. Because I just got shuffled there at the hairpin. There really wasn't anything else I could have done to avoid that. Even if I was committed enough to try and avoid the carnage that was probably going to take place through the hairpin. And officially that now means that I, of course, need to fight my way through the field if I'm going to have any chance of winning this. Although, I don't think I'll need to fight too much, because I would imagine, because pit stops are pretty much guaranteed to happen in this race, that is effectively what I will probably use as my capitalizing point, and essentially how exactly I will be able to improvise on what is presently my 4th position. Also, furthermore, the storm has managed to pass the A-Spec, and up into the 4th position now after the first lap chaos at the hairpin. Hopefully that will not be repeated, as I'm now keeping this thing in 3rd gear, and already I still get pushed into the wall. Because, as per usual, these AI just really like to be arseholes with how aggressive they are. Because that is how strong rubber banding is in the amateur league. Anyways, pretty much 3.5 seconds now behind the Corvette, where obviously if I do not fuck this up in a big way, I should be able to take the lead, is what me thinks. Although at the moment things have not been looking on the upward spiral. Although, it will surprise me if I do manage to get a clean sweep in this championship. It will probably surprise me a lot, anyways. I've literally just been able to slice that interval down. Literally like a hot knife through butter. I am already pretty much 2.5 seconds now behind the Corvette. Oh shit! Why did I have to open my mouth when I was going through the chicane? I really fucked up there. Now it means I'm going to have to claw my way back, because I fucked up. Because I fucked up at the chicane. So again, Seattle, like I said before, definitely not one of my personal favourite circuits. And I would like it if I could manage close the interval down between the Corvette and the Viper, considering both of them are very much in synchronicity with one another at the moment in terms of their overall velocity from what I can see up front. Hoping that I can manage to close the interval down with the additional default of pit stops, and I am starting to close it down a little bit, but I'm hoping I do not make the same mistake at the chicane again, because it is very easy to get that one corner wrong, and obviously I do manage to survive the chicane this time, and as a result, this lap was 2 seconds faster as a result of me avoiding that. And since I would imagine the Viper will almost certainly pit in on this lap, obviously that is exactly how I will manage to take the lead, because pit stops will help me to effectively win this race. And obviously, By the time we get into the professional league, obviously, this is exactly what I will be needing to do. Because the races will be much longer in the professional league than they currently are. Figured I might as well point that out. And I think we also get the second ending movie after we've completed the Amateur GT World Championship. I think that's what we get. Anyways, interval is now 1 second to the Viper, and as long as I don't bottle this, I might still be able to win this, and the Viper actually stays out, which is very odd compared to the previous two races. And officially, that now moves me up into the lead as a result of him pretty much finishing this race on worn tyres. Anyways, I now take the lead, and we now officially head up the hill, and using the curbs to my advantage as much as I can without spinning the car. I am officially a second now clear of the Viper, and that is all. Guess who is still not learning to pay attention to what the rhythm of the track is? It's me. Anyways, I closed up, I managed to eventually take the lead, come back from my early race errors, and officially it does now look like I'm going to make this 7 out of 7 wins. It was in doubt at the start of the race, but I've managed to survive the adversity and perseverances of this race, and officially it is going to be 7 out of 7 wins to the Supra by 3.4 seconds over the Viper. And the Corvette was not able to make up that many positions in the end, as he eventually finished in 5th, and then at the back it was once again the Lister. Shame to see the Lister dropping to the back, considering obviously the Storm does not have that much success as a race car, unfortunately. Anyways, I'm now pretty much 44 points clear of both the Viper and the Corvette. The Castrol Mugen NSX moves up to 4th position, dropping the Skyline down to 5th, and then at the back it is still the Lister. So we have quite a tussle going on for who exactly will finish in the 2nd position. But officially, I'm now just going to move on to race number 8, which takes place at Midfield Reverse. So, still 3 races to go, although after this one it'll pretty much be 2 races. Officially, all I can really say overall is that, well, victory, I would imagine, by the default of pit stops, will probably be almost certainly mine. Or at least I can say it's probably a certainty now, because I've won 7 out of 7 races so far, made a little bit of contact there with the NSX, which also forced him off into the gravel. Did not do that intentionally, although it doesn't matter too much because the Lister spins at the high banked hairpin turn. Although oddly enough the AI tend to do that quite a lot. from what I have seen, and I'm currently 3 seconds behind the Viper, hoping to maybe see if I can close that interval down. And it will astonish me if I do manage to do that, meaning that obviously it is still pretty much all to play for if I do manage to close the interval. Oh shit. I almost lost the rear end through that corner, but officially, at the moment it does not look like I'm going to close in on the Viper, unfortunately, and almost repeating what the lister did there, although officially, at the moment it looks like pit stops will probably be the order of what happens during this race, as of which I've now closed the interval down now to 3.6 seconds, but it does not look like it's going to be enough to possibly win this race, because I think I'm down on pace at the moment, from what I can tell. Even though the Corvette is trying to see if we can make a bid for the lead, I would imagine at the present time I don't think I'm going to take the lead unless a pit stop occurs. Because the AI appear to be looking stronger here than they have done through all the other races so far. And this time taking the corner in 3rd gear, and I'm really trying my hardest to close up to the 4th position, and it does not look like I'm going to win this race, because I think these AI are a little bit too strong for me to pass them, but I am going to try my hardest to see if I can close that interval. And the best hope I really have up to this point is waiting for a pit stop, and at the moment it does not look like that's going to help me too much. And as I suspected, the Corvette goes into the pits. I am continuing to close in on the GTR, as of which the gap is now 3.4 seconds, and it doesn't look like I'm going to win this race unless the Viper goes into the pits. And if I also manage to get past the skyline, and really had to get the elbows out there if I was going to pull off that pass, and fortunately in the end I did. Had to pull it off down the inside if I was going to have any chance of making the corner. Fortunately I did, and officially, unless the Viper stops in this race, I do not think I'm going to win this race. Although the interval is shrinking, but it will surprise me if he does manage to come into the pits, because in Seattle last time out he held on to take 2nd position. And indeed he does come into the pits, and so that has effectively handed the race win over to me by default. And as of which, the Pennzoil GTR also hits in for fresh rubber, which effectively has now pretty much handed me the race win. But again, it has been a tough race to hold on for the lead, even though officially it is now safe to say these AI are definitely keeping up with me for these final few races, because rubber banding in the second part of a championship in the amateur league is definitely stronger. Anyways, here we go, last lap once again, and officially the Corvette now moves back up into the 2nd position and is looking like he will probably make a bid for the lead, but Does not look like he's going to make that bid in time, even if he does plan on overtaking me. It is going to be a close finish, but the Supra emerges victorious once again by just 0.8. Then the NSX finished in 3rd, followed by the Lister 4th. The Pennzoil GTR was 5th, and then at the back it was once again the Viper, as a result of the pit stop on the previous lap. And so these are now the updated points. So a perfect 80 points to me, 32 to the Corvette, 27 to the Viper, 25 to the NSX, and also furthermore the Pennzoil GTR is now tied on points with the Lister Storm, since they are both on 22 points. And officially, we now have just 2 races to go. And can I manage to win both of those races? We shall wait and see. As of which, we are now going to Route 11, and where pit stops are almost certainly guaranteed, because obviously this is a long circuit. Certainly the longest street course in this game, as of which I'm pretty certain that whilst this is also a city course, tyre wear probably will be the contributing factor. Meanwhile, I officially slot myself up into the 3rd position, and I'm now taking advantage of this by moving up into the 3rd position. And where hopefully pit stops will once again play a part in me possibly getting a perfect score in this championship, by default of me using the racing slick tyres in pretty much my white and red Toyota Supra. So heading through the chicane now to officially concluding the first lap here in the penultimate race of the Amateur GT World Championship, where officially I can now say I am officially pretty much in a guaranteed position for 3rd, unless I bottle this, and hopefully that will not be the case. Though I am hopeful in saying that will not be the case, but meanwhile, up front, we have a Corvette and we have a Viper, who I would imagine will almost certainly go into the pits before the end of this race, and effectively hand the race win over to me, because again, tyre longevity. And also because I have the more durable rubber. Because durability is important. So the gap is now 3.8 seconds to the Dodge Viper, but I'm pretty certain both of them will pit eventually, and that will effectively hand the race win over to me if I get lucky enough to last the rest of the distance. So the Viper is still locked in combat with the Corvette at the moment, considering obviously the Corvette will certainly be the most likely contender for taking second place away in this championship from the Viper. But again, I'm managing to close in on the Corvette, probably because he is now on worn tyres, and if it is at all possible, I may be able to win this race by the time pit stops take place. And down the inside I go to officially taking the lead, taking second position away from the Corvette because he is on worn tyres, and officially all I have to do now is think about where exactly I can pass the Viper. As we now head through the final hairpin turn here at Route 11, as of which I believe there are 5 of these hairpin turns, and we are now officially approaching the chicane, managing to brake early so I can make the corner, and keeping myself locked in combat with the Viper at the moment and closing in because he too is running on worn tyres. And as I suspected, the Corvette inevitably goes into the pits. And where I'm now closing in on the Viper once again because he too is losing the grip on his tyres. The grippiness is fading away on the Dodge, and I'm pretty certain this is where I do manage to improvise on the tyre wear, narrowly avoiding a scrape with the Armco there. As I now head through the first chicane, and the Viper just slid, so this could officially be the perfect opportunity I'm looking for to officially take the lead. He is still sliding, and oh, I just bumped him. He does manage to correct the issue, but that is a clear indication of saying that his tyres must be shredded. I dart myself down the inside, and officially this now moves me up into first place. And the Viper is pretty much sliding everywhere at the moment. He will almost certainly not hold on to those tyres. He has got to pit in this lap, and then once he does, obviously, he will briefly fall to the back, as of which the Pennzoil car comes into the pits along with the Viper, and also the Lister, surprisingly, has also pitted. So that basically leaves just me and the Castrol Mugen NSX to duke it out for the lead. But since I overtook the NSX early, I'm pretty certain, as long as I don't bottle this, that I should be able to make this 9 out of 10 wins, methinks. If I can just keep everything clean, and as long as I do not get squeezed out. So the NSX at the moment is mounting no challenges, and and it looks like he's pretty much allowing me to just extend my interval. As we now head pretty much through the penultimate section of this course, considering there are 4 sectors around this course overall. And continuing to hold on to my projectable interval as we now head through the final hairpin turn before the chicane, and then once I have officially survived this, we will have just 1 corner to go, and then it is just the front stretch remaining, and then officially it shall be 9 out of 10 wins going to the Toyota Supra. Considering I officially clinched the championship probably 2 races ago now, on aggregate. So the NSX takes 2nd position away from the Corvette, the Viper finishes 4th ahead of the Pennzoil GTR, and then at the back it is once again the Lister, who is pretty much now potentially going to settle for last. Because even though he has been trying, he has just not been succeeding. So basically, F2 whoever is driving the Lister. Meanwhile, I can now say I am safely 54 points clear of the Corvette, and where officially it is now the Castrol Mugen NSX that moves up into the 3rd position. And it is going to be interesting to see how exactly the final race will play out. But before we do that, obviously, I do of course need to save the replay. Sorry, save the game. And just to be sure, I don't think I have a replay saved at Route 11 yet. Just pretty much scrolling through to see if I have one saved. And oh, guess I don't. Actually, yeah, I think I will overwrite this one. I'll probably get a stronger shot of the Supra if I get a shot at Route 11 than I do at Route 5. And since I've already saved the game, let's now move on to the final race of the Amateur GT World Championship. Prepare to expect stubbornness, and where I pretty much do the same race over and over again. Anyways, here we go. The final race of the Amateur GT World Championship, and where I will probably make this a clean sweep. Considering this will only be the 2nd time in the game overall where I have officially sweeped a 10-race championship. And it will pretty much be the only time. And it will pretty much be the only other time that I managed to sweep up a 10-race championship. And already the Lister is sliding, and officially the NSX has now moved up the order, pretty much sliced his way up the order. And obviously, I did figure I would replace the replay because I do not have an Amateur League replay saved at Route 11 yet, so I just figured I'd do that. Anyways, at the moment, I can safely say I am pretty much in 3rd position until both the Dodge and the Chevrolet pit, because I'm pretty certain both of those race cars right up in front of me, in other words, they are of course basically Le Mans cars, because they've both competed in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. But officially, I would imagine it is only a matter of time before I officially manage to safely overtake both of them and take the lead. Oh shit, I ran a little bit too wide there through the final corner, but officially I can now say I am up into the 3rd position. I'm trying to close in on the Corvette, so I got a little bit of oversteer there and getting more oversteer on the exit, but officially I think the Corvette by now is probably safe enough to clinching 2nd position in the championship overall. I am slowly but surely moving in on the Corvette, and I run a little bit wide there through the hairpin, or at least on the exit of the hairpin, because I was really close to sliding. Unfortunately, I caught it before it did. Darting down the inside of the Corvette now I go, as oversteer is still causing me to clash with the Corvette. More contact is made, and managing to forcibly get my way up into the 2nd position. So 2nd place has now been taken by me, as I am now pretty much 3 seconds behind the Viper. But obviously, I would imagine it's only a matter of time before I officially take the lead. So heading through the little S-bend there, as we now head pretty much through the final right-hander. And officially, I am now starting lap number 3, and where the Corvette has now pitted early, so this could very well be the decider for this championship, considering he will probably have to pit in again on the 4th lap. And officially, Grand Valley has had a history of being hard on tyres, and I do not know why the fuck I eased off the throttle, but officially I am predicting the Corvette probably will pit in again at the end of the 4th lap, now that he's pitted in on the 2nd. So obviously Grand Valley already taking its toll on the tyres, because Grand Valley is quite a tyre chomper, if I can use that expression. Literally just munching up the tyres as we go along, as I am now less than a second behind the Viper and still continuing to close in. Tyre wear must be an issue for him too, and he forces me into the wall. But I do manage to shift down, get myself back up to speed relatively quickly, and this is where I manage to do the old switcheroo. So the Castro Mugen NSX now takes the 2nd position away from the Viper, no doubt in saying he's going to be pitting in this lap on those worn tyres, and also the Pentel GTR follows him in. So now starting the 4th lap here at Grand Valley. It will be quite a challenge to see if I can make this a clean sweep. Although, arguably, I think I probably can make this a clean sweep, judging by what I have seen previously, with tyre strats being the order of this race. And I would imagine both the NSX and the Lister are probably going to be pitting in the following lap, officially. is what me thinks. And since I have the more durable tyres, obviously, these hard tyres I'm pretty certain will make it up to the end of the race. And the Corvette briefly takes second position back, but since he has got to pit in again, I am pretty certain he will probably fall to the back of the grid, considering he is pitting in on the second to last lap. So, less than a second now to the Corvette. Obviously not going to extend my interval by too much on these tyres, considering he is going to be pitting in just a matter of seconds and getting a snap of oversteer for good measure. Fortunately managing to catch it, and officially it is now time for me to go onwards to the fifth and final lap here at Grand Valley, and the Storm also pits. Meanwhile, the Viper is now on the outside of the NSX and looking to take second position before getting a snap of oversteer. He is still involved in this fight with both himself and the Pentor Skyline. Meanwhile, the NSX has now fallen back to the fourth position, since both of these guys are on fresher tyres. And because I am using a touring car, hopefully this thing will manage to get me up to the end of the race. Hopefully. And if I can win a prize car which I have not won yet from this championship, or at least not essentially a prize car that I've already won from a championship previously, then I will be happy with the overall outcome. As my voice is slowly but surely dying. So the Viper now retakes second position, and now officially I would imagine this is probably going to be where he will hold on to the third position ahead of the Castrol Mugen NSX, to officially taking home third position and making it both second and third positions for the Americans. Meanwhile for me, it is officially going to be a clean sweep in the Amateur GT World Championship, along with also putting up a new fastest lap for good measure. So won by pretty much 8/10 in the end over the Viper. The Pentoil Skyline was in third, followed by the NSX, then it was the Corvette in fifth, and then at the back it was the Lister, as a result of him having to pit on the second to last lap. So these are the final point standings, as of which it is a perfect 100 for me, by sweeping all 10 races. 38 to the Corvette, 36 to the Viper, 34 to the Honda Castrol Mugen NSX, then it is the Nissan in 5th with 28, and then at the back with a fair 24 points was the Lister. So for the second event running, it is a clean sweep. And hopefully I will manage to win a reasonable prize car to cap it all off. And this is the trophy I get, with an additional 100 grand. Hopefully I will manage to win a reasonable prize car. And what prize car do we get from this? Yo! We get the GT300 Silvia from this event. Let's fucking go! We get a GT300 car from winning this event. Nice. Very nice! I'm definitely taking this thing. And I think after this is where the credits play, and obviously I will have to skip them because copyrights. Oh, okay. I guess it comes after I've completed the Amateur League, but there we go. all 10 racers have been swept in the Amateur GT World Championship, and I also managed to win a GT300 car to cap off the brilliance. So there we go. A remarkable performance by a remarkable car, and as a result my win ratio has now moved up to 83%, and I am now 43.8% complete with this game overall. And so this is our car, a Nissan C-West Razzo Silvia JGTC, and this is one of the GT300 cars, as you can see there. But yeah, this is definitely a prize car I will accept. Because just look at how awesome this thing is. This is definitely a prize car I'll accept. No ands, buts or ifs. God, I love the way this thing looks. This thing looks awesome. It really does. For a GT300 car. And I did not expect myself to win this thing. But again, it's a good car, I will accept it, and it's definitely a car I will again have some usage for. And at the completion of that event, we have now driven over 2,600 kilometers, and we have a total of 171 wins to our name. And so that, my friends, was the Amateur League GT World Championship. Next time we will be moving on to the Professional League, but which event we'll be doing, you will just have to wait and find out. But until then, stay tuned for more of the GT3 shenanigans and Professional League racing.